the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
This is Orthodoxy Live with Father Evan Armatas, a live interactive call-in program where your questions about the Orthodox faith are addressed. Father Evan is the priest at St. Spiridon Greek Orthodox Church in Loveland, Colorado. Call in your question at 1-855-AF-RADIO. That's 1-855-237-2346. Here now is Father Evan.
Good evening and welcome to Orthodoxy Live, your live call-in show about the Orthodox faith, her teachings and her traditions. I'm your host, Father Evan, and we are streaming live to you this evening on Ancient Faith. I'm glad you're with us. It is March 5th, the first Sunday of Great Lent. For those of you who are Western Christians, you may be thinking to yourself, no, it's the second Sunday. Well, difference in calendars, East and West. And so we have begun Great Lent this past Monday with Clean Monday and Clean Week, and concluded today with the Sunday of Orthodoxy. Each of the Sundays of Great Lent kind of have two themes to them. Sunday of Orthodox is the latter theme. The theme of the Gospel from John is the earlier one. Nevertheless, many parishes today had processions after liturgy, acknowledging the restoration of divine images and holy images in our churches. Like many of you, we made that procession at the conclusion of Divine Liturgy today and made our way outside due to the large number of people who were with us, and it's no way to have done the procession inside the church. Nonetheless, hope I can hear from you tonight. Open lines as we open the program at 1-855-237-2346. Some of you may be out working, maybe out at liturgies that are taking place. What I mean there is Vespers that take place on these Sundays of Great Lent, often known in many places as Pan-Orthodox Vespers. There's a large gathering here in Colorado down at the main cathedral in Denver, and many of the parishes are there tonight. So this past weekend was the start of the Lenten journey, and we had Father Andrew Damick with us from Ancient Faith Radio, who led us in a retreat Friday and Saturday and offered the homily today, which was a joy for me, having really just met Father Andrew in person for the first podcasters retreat, and then had him with us for our parish retreat, something we'd planned long ago. What an excellent weekend that was. And if you in your local area are near an Orthodox church, you may want to check out and see what retreats are being offered during the Lenten season. Many parishes offer a Lenten speaker or speaker series, and if you're checking out the church and Orthodoxy, it's a great time to do that. Or attend one of the weekday services, whether that be Great Compline, traditionally offered on Mondays. Pre-sanctified liturgies often offered on Wednesday evenings and Friday mornings, and the salutation service, at least in the more traditional Byzantine rite, many Slavic churches, Slavic Orthodox churches, don't offer that Agathis service on Fridays, but great time to come into and attend one of the services of the church if you've been looking into it. Also wanted to just say, as we get away tonight, that so many of you have written in recently, sending in questions, and I always appreciate that. Love hearing from you as well on air. So if I don't get to your question by email, there's just a lot of them. You guys often send them to my live at ancientfaith.com or ask at ancientfaith.com, or you can go on to Ancient Faith's website and go to live programming. Just scroll down to Orthodoxy Live. Things are on the live programming in alphabetical order, and you can click on the microphone and record a question. Just a shout out to Hank Hanegraaff and Hank Unplugged, a podcast that Hank does. Recently, he had me on. I was so very thankful that he did the new book, Reclaiming the Great Commission, as soon as we got on air and he started the interview. Because that book covers those three basic disciplines of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Nonetheless, you can check that out. And the interview with Hank, what a gracious and godly man. It was a real joy to be with him. Well, as we get underway again, live and open lines at 1-855-237-2346. All right, I'm going to pull up a question that was sent in recently from Gerald. Hi, Father Evan. A topic I'd love to hear about. Many immigrants have crossed into the U.S. on the southern border. Putting aside issues of illegality and politics and such, are there any efforts being made by the Orthodox Christian parishes to reach out to the immigrants, to evangelize them, feed them, clothe them, in short, show them the love of Christ while they are visitors to the U.S., instead of sending missionaries to the countries where they originated? This seems like a wonderful opportunity to evangelize people who are coming to visit us. Could you discuss programs by parishes which are reaching out to the immigrants in the name of our Lord Jesus? Well, I can't speak directly to what is occurring in the hundreds of parishes that are aligning the borders of our country here in the U.S. and how they are generally working with displaced populations and immigrants. Suffice to say that, I can speak, let's say, of my own community and a few communities I know where there are efforts in local communities to administer the love of God and to bring the love of God into the lives of people who are undergoing very drastic and radical upheaval. And those efforts, occur at taking place. Let's go with that sentence on the southern border. Although I think, by addressing the question, the reason I wanted to take it is to highlight the issue that you're raising, and obviously what an important thing for parishes who are in and around that. One thing I do know is that the sort of crisis response of the Orthodox Church that's coordinated through IOCC does respond to both international and domestic issues. And I'm going to make a suggestion, dear listener, that and I'm going to share this same email with the U.S. Director of Aid and Relief with IOCC, U.S. Aid, and that is Deacon Paul Zaharas, Zaharas. If you go to iocc.org, you'll find his contact information. My plan is to forward along your question to him and see if there's anything that IOCC has in place with that. All right. On a related question from a listener is the question of, are there Orthodox parishes in the U.S. that do services in Spanish for the immigrants that attend? Granted, many immigrants are either unchurched, what we'd call nuns, or traditional Roman Catholics. Nevertheless, are any parishes reaching out to the immigrants in their time of need and openness to Orthodox Christian faith? Same answer. I think that those efforts do occur on individual bases, whether that be in Southern California, whether that is in Southern Texas or Florida. Certainly something that I advocate for on this program, in other places, and in my most recent book. So thanks for those questions. And as I said, I'm going to forward those on to the U.S. Domestic Director for Aid at IOCC. And if I get a response from them that gives some more detail on that, I'll let you know. All right, let's go out to the phones and take a call from John. John, welcome to Orthodoxy Live.
Hello, Father. Father bless.
Oh, hi, John. The Lord bless you. How are you?
As students, so they've got a little time. I don't want them to work over spring break, but just in case.
Well, the reason I know John is John's a parishioner. I recognized his voice as soon as I said hello. John lives up here in Fort Collins, nearby me. And John, I think you were in attendance over the weekend. What an incredible retreat that was.
Yes, indeed. Jeff, unfortunately, came down with, I don't know if it was strep throat or something. It would have been perfect. Father Andrew Damian, or Damick, it was just, I can think of various retreats, church schools, things that Sherry, may her memory be eternal, and I attended for over 40 years. She had pretty high standards for what a retreat ought to provide, and I think she would have been absolutely delighted with everything that we were blessed with over that entire time period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But incredible. It was really a wonderful weekend, and
Yes, it was.
great turnout. Wonderful to be together, and we had
Great conversations all the way around.
Indeed. Yeah, what's on your heart today, John?
Well, actually, it was the retreat and various things that I started thinking about, various parts of the entire Orthodox world, and I was just wondering when you were. I was chatting with an Orthodox family from Canada. They've just recently moved down to Castle Rock. Wow, we came from a lot of different backgrounds: Antiochian, Greek, etc., etc., etc. So I wondered if you could kind of comment on how can things like this happen more and more often, so that we see ourselves, we are Orthodox. We don't belong to a little ethnicity. We don't belong to a tiny little niche. Maybe the first thing there. And the other thing, yesterday evening, one of the very last things that Father Andrew spoke to, really did, it brought tears to my eyes. People have been talking about and writing about maybe we're on the cusp of another great awakening. And what a blessing it could be if Orthodoxy could be a major part of that awakening in this country. So I'm just wondering about those two things.
Yeah, I let's take the latter one first, this part. We're certainly seeing that in our local community where, truly we're just busting at the seams, and it seems every time. I mean, even on the weekday, there is someone new who shows up and is interested in learning about Christ and the gospel and his church. And, I don't know if I've shown you the list I've got on my phone of inquirers. It's staggering. I've never, 20 years, been in a position as a priest. I mean, you've noticed probably how for several Sundays now, although we have several clergy serving on Sunday, I've typically not come out with a chalice at the time of the Eucharist, because I literally need to offer just a blessing to all the people who are coming to the church who are not, part of the church, right? It's really unbelievable.
That line goes all the way back, all the way to almost to the narthex.
Yeah, I've never in 20 years, never made
what a blessing.
Right, what a blessing. And as I've been traveling myself and giving talks in different parts of the country, I'm seeing that same thing happening elsewhere. So I think that is true. I think there is a general sort of awakening that's occurring. I was down south a few weeks ago and heard of a revival movement that's going on with students who are going to their chapels on their universities and starting 24-hour prayer. The Spirit is moving. And, I think that this is not to be completely unexpected. The disruption of COVID and what's occurred in the last several years, I think has really shaken people and broken them loose from the patterns that they were living in. And it's caused them to look a little more deeply at what the meaning of life is. And,